You remember the story so well. Yet another beautiful commoner captured the heart of the prince, and the two rode off into the sunset to live happily ever after. It didn't matter how many times you heard that story, how many different versions of it that you read. The outcome was always predictable. It was always the same. She always won her man. He always pursued her, regardless of what obstacles came up, and they always eventually married and lived happily ever after. And so it's no wonder that now, when you're all grown up, that story is still playing in your mind, forming your belief of what falling in love and being in a relationship is all about. Whether it's subconscious or not, that theme plays in our minds whenever we meet someone, whenever we're in a romantic or potential romantic relationship. It's no surprise that we believe that we can actually make someone love us, that we can change the cold heart of even a beast, that we can move heaven and earth to show someone that we really are all that we are the one for him. And that's exactly what we try to do. Over and over and over again, we repeat this pattern from the time we have our very first encounter with what we believe is love, until it becomes so ingrained in us that we don't know how to do anything different. See, we think it's our role, our calling. We believe it's why we're here. And we believe that all we have to do is to just be that beautiful, loving, perfect woman, and he will fall for us, and we will live happily ever after too. Until our first encounter with reality, when we first find out that we've been told a story that doesn't translate into real life. It might make for a great tale, a must-see movie, or a captivating romance novel. But when it's our lives here that we're talking about, there is nothing happily ever after about it. The happy ending never came. And so we learn, but not before we repeat this pattern at least a few more times, before we finally see where this fairy tale thinking really takes us in real life. And we realize there has to be more than what we're living, than what we're experiencing in our own reality. So when we're finally ready to see love for what it really is and how it really happens, we start our journey, our quest, from a place that we don't even understand how we got here and where we are in the first place, to a new place that we don't know anything about either. We just know we want the real thing. And we learn here that it's not about being perfect, not about pleasing anyone or being someone we're not. It's not about making someone love us or refusing to give up on someone even though they're telling us it's over or that they won't make a commitment. It's about being real. It's about two people who both want the same thing, two people who are both on the same page, who want to get to know each other better, to see where this might lead. It's about being compatible instead of contradictory. It's about sharing the same values and wanting the same things in life. It's about being realistic instead of hopeful. It's about being authentic and staying true to yourself and who you are, even if it means that this might not end in the happily ever after that you were so sure it was going to be. It's about accepting change. It's about accepting what is. It's about being open to someone not being your Prince Charming after all. It's about realizing there's no shame in admitting that you might have been wrong on this one. It's about realizing that you don't answer to anyone except yourself. It's also about being willing to say goodbye when one or both of you isn't on the same page, with the realization that there is so much more to life than this. It's about communicating openly and honestly with each other. It's about hearing each other and knowing when to listen and actually hear what he's telling you about himself and where he's at. It's about really hearing what someone else is saying. It's about having disagreements, but knowing you are, as a couple, strong enough to work through them. And it's about not always feeling like being where you are, but knowing that there's no place on earth you'd rather be except right there together. It's about being able to accept what is, even when it might not be exactly what you want it to be. It's about being picky about the right things. It's about two people, not just one or the other. It's time to let go of the fairy tale. It's time to let go of the stories of princes and princesses, Cinderella, Snow White, Prince Charming, to name a few. Not to mention those modern romantic comedies. All those stories that you thought on some level were what true love was all about. They were just that. They were stories. They were made up. They were fictional. All those Disney movies and all the romantic comedies. It's time to see them all for what they are. It's time to stop looking for your fictional Prince Charming because he isn't real. There's a real Mr. Right out there in the real world looking for a real relationship with a real woman who's exactly like you. The Mr. Right that treats you the way that you deserve to be treated and wants the same things that you want and believes in the same things that you believe in. He'll have his flaws the same way that you have yours, but he's going to be perfect in the ways that really matter to you. And when you find him, you might realize that he wasn't exactly what you expected. He rarely is. But if you keep your heart and your mind open, you'll see that it turns out he's even better than you ever could have imagined.